Make sure. Okay, here we go. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Biz Talk for TikTok. Have you ever wanted to be a social media creator but have no idea where to start, or the whole idea of being a creator is really overwhelming because you don't even know what to do? Or maybe you're a new business and you've never created content in your life and you're looking for expert advice on what to do and where to start. I'm talking with industry entertainment professional, writer, and digital content creator Erica Berry. Erica realized that more mainstream creators were getting their starts on platforms such as YouTube, Instagram, and of course, TikTok. She went looking for a guidebook only to find that there wasn't one. So she went out and wrote her own debut book, which is debuted Don't Wait, Create: How to Be a Content Creator in the New Digital Revolution. So I brought Erica on the show today to give her expertise, and we will be talking about things like how to, how TikTok is changing the entertainment industry, advice for business owners on new content creators who have never created content before, and how to listen to your audience as a creator as it's growing. So without further ado, I'd love to welcome Erica. Welcome to Biz Talk for TikTok.
Thank you so much for having me. Excited to talk everything social media, TikTok, entertainment, all of that good stuff today with you on the show.
Yeah, so you've been as a person, you've seen the changes through social media with YouTube's popping up, Instagram, and now we're seeing a huge change in the digital industry, specifically with TikTok. And TikTok, because of what they've done, all the other platforms are now shifting their focus as well to short form video, right?
No,
Like so,
no,
we're
it's
totally.
crazy. I mean, TikTok was like the most explosive by far when you look at all of the like year-over-year growth charts for like YouTube, Twitter, Snapchat. Like TikTok just like blows it out of the water. But I'm 24 right now, and I just like grew up in that online generation, and so I kind of watched all of these platforms blow up. So as a kid, it like wasn't really a big thing, and then YouTube. When I was in middle school, I started watching like a ton of YouTube in those like early days, like Smosh and like all of those creators, and then really just, I mean, TikTok is the next big thing. It's like blown up. Instagram's now moving to more like a video platform rather than a photo sharing platform. I remember I got my Instagram account for the first time in high school, and everyone was just like using those horrible like lo-fi filters and like taking pictures of their latte art. And now it's like a whole, people's careers on Instagram. And so I've just kind of been in that perfect sweet spot generation where I've really watched like the waves of these platforms come and go. But there's really been nothing like the tidal wave that is TikTok.
No, it's so true. It's really taken off, and I mean the platform now has a billion, it's a billion users on there, which is incredible with it being so new. But it is crazy to see that they've really set the bar for where digital media is going, because I mean, you see YouTube's now rolling out YouTube Shorts, like you just said,
Mhm.
about Instagram now being video focused with Reels.
Reels, yeah.
But it's crazy because so like some people might feel like, oh, TikTok's not the place for me, for a creator, or for my brand. But if you look at it as the entire concept of just the style of what content it needs to be made, obviously with all the other platforms following suit with that traditional new style of vertical video short form, that's something that as a personal brand or as a business, you really have to start focusing for your business versus, the old traditional landscape mode, highly produced. And that stuff is kind of like people are over that. They just want something real.
Exactly. And I think that's something too. If you're thinking like, oh, TikTok's not for me, TikTok got kind of like a weird start because people associate it, it started as like musically into TikTok. So people, may have this like previous misconception that it's like lip syncing videos or it's just dancing or it's just teenagers. But there is really everything there. And I think that's the big like appeal of TikTok is the algorithm is like so good. It always knows like exactly like what I want to watch at any one moment. But there's like cooking TikTok, fashion TikTok, like jail TikTok, like all of these like crazy, crazy, like specific niches that everyone can really find a place on the platform, no matter like how old you are, no matter what you're doing. And I encourage, I mean, it is the future. You either kind of like hop on the bandwagon now while it's still new, or, when it's like too late later.
Exactly. And, I like to say this too, because some people think, oh, it's the future. I got time. Well, actually the future, we're in that. Like it's present. It's a present moment right now. And, people really need to start thinking that. Like I feel you with the whole misconceptions in the beginning, which still a lot of brands do have some issues still, but it's gotten a lot better. But I was, I'm in this space. I work with TikTok creators as a brand agency. We're a management company to work with these brands and help them, be the communication between the brands and the creator. And in the beginning, like I've been working with TikTok and creators since August 2018 when it actually officially launched. Mm-hmm. And trust me, the conversations then to now are completely different. For one, people used to laugh at me. Like I used to talk about it. Well, I still do. I talk about it on LinkedIn a lot. But in the beginning, people were like, yo, this isn't the place. Don't talk about TikTok here. This is like, this is not the place to talk about those things. I don't want to see your TikTok videos over here. And now people, like those same people, funnily enough, those same people now are posting TikToks on LinkedIn, or they're talking about like the amazing growth that they've been having, or their business is getting better and they're having more views and more success on that platform than anywhere else. So it's funny how things do change.
Totally. And just like random things. I mean, there was there was a whole like feta pasta trend. You could not buy feta cheese like in America at all. And like now the thing is the whole like Emily Mariko salmon bowl. And you cannot go to the grocery store and buy like Japanese mayonnaise because it's like all sold out. Or if you want to get the little like seaweed squares, like shelves I was at Trader Joe's earlier this weekend, and it just like shelves empty. You can't buy this stuff. And it's like that is really impacting, especially for businesses, like what people are buying is like what they're seeing on this platform. I mean, you probably relate to this. I totally used to watch a ton of TV, still do, but that time has like really been like slowly encroached on by like watching like 2 hours of TikTok a day, and like the volume of like actual videos that I'm watching is like insanity. And so instead of like, watching a commercial during a TV show and being, oh, I'm going to buy that, it's like really like, what are people using on TikTok? Because that's like what's like nesting in my brain now.
100%. So I have two Gen Z daughters, right? Well, I have 4 kids. All of them, except for my son, he's very gaming focused. He doesn't really care about TikTok. But one of them is she's a verified TikTok creator. She's got 2.4 million followers, and the other one, and she's 20. And then I have a soon-to-be 16-year-old, and then my youngest is 8. But our entire house is consumed, like anything we do revolves around TikTok, meaning from the things we eat to the things we buy to the clothes that the kids buy, the clothes that they want to wear is all around TikTok. So I always say, like, even though it's my job, it's my business, I'm involved with like TikTok creators, but I do say TikTok costs me a lot of money because my kids are like, oh, I got to try this new trend. We got to go out right now and I got to go find garlic, what was it? Pickled garlic. That was a big trend too.
I remember
pickled garlic. So like it's things like that. So my daughter's like, can we please go? Like my 16-year-old's like, come on, I gotta go. I want to try this. And the feta pasta thing, totally. We had to go do those things. But the pickled garlic was funny because we went to 3 different Walmarts, all gone. And same with makeup. There was in fact, my wife has it on the counter over there, but the I think it was Maybelline or one of them. They had a specific mascara that came out, and it went like insanely viral. We called up like all the shops in town, like all of our local like kind of like a CVS type pharmacy places, gone. Like Walmart's gone off the shelf, and they couldn't even keep them in stock fast enough. And so TikTok is really, there used to be that thing as seen on TV. Well, in stores now, like when I'm shopping around, I've seen as seen on TikTok, and you don't see that anywhere. I've never seen that with like as seen on YouTube or as seen on Instagram. So this has really revolutionized the way people are not just consuming content, but the way that they're actually spending their dollars. Like traditional advertising is just people they don't even pay attention. They like my kids, they've grown up to find that skip button faster on YouTube now than anything. So they're not paying attention to your traditional ads. It's not a thing. Like we want to see real stuff and people actually consuming it or using it in their own authentic way. That's what really relates, and that's what makes us want to go purchase those things. So
totally. And I think it's that like authenticity, like for me as like a consumer in the world who's like heavily influenced by TikTok as well. It's something like I'm like, oh, if I see someone using something in a TikTok or like eating something in TikTok, it just seems like so much more real than a commercial. I'm like, oh, like this looks good, or like it just seems much more like kind of like a friend's recommendation rather than like, oh, this company is like trying to sell me something, you know?
exactly. And like from a real person, they're like looking at the camera and they're speaking to their audience, right? So like I think that's what's a really key factor there too. It's a real person that we know because we see them and they're actually engaging in their comments back to their people that are watching. They might go live, so you know they're a real person. So therefore you trust their opinion a lot more because they're not just like some paid ad on a TV like commercial where you're like, whatever, like you might not even use this product in real life, or you're just being paid, which sometimes that does come across when people do paid ads. But if they're done in a really good way, people respect it a ton, you know. And like there's so many, not only just like products or for businesses, but just like you mentioned, TikTok is really changing the game of entertainment overall from all sorts. What other things have you noticed that TikTok's kind of revolutionizing right now?
Oh, I mean, so many things. I think music trends, like I look at like the top 50 charts on Spotify and like every song is like a TikTok viral song. And so music 1000%, I think for like aspiring musicians and like our up and coming artists, that's like the fastest way to find success now is, you know, put your song out there and hope it becomes like a trending song or someone like choreographs a dance to it. I honestly think, yeah, shopping and business and like in kind of the weirdest ways too, and brands can really lean into it. Like I remember earlier this year, the whole like Alabama rush talk went super viral. All of the girls like rushing Alabama sororities, they're all wearing just like by default the like Kendra Scott earrings. And then those started flying off the shelves, and Kendra Scott as a brand started like leaning into that. I also think it's like really cool. I mean, since there are a billion users, like it does have the ability to enact like real social change as a society. I know there was the whole with the election, they did that whole Talk the Vote initiative to try to like get Gen Z out to the polls. And I know Harvard did a whole study like retroactively looking like, did this work? And it actually did. Like they could trace it back. Like Gen Z voter turnout was so much higher because they had these people doing it. So it's like really every aspect of our lives. And I mean, I even appreciate, like I was kind of down like the medical TikTok the other day where like doctors are, you know, talking about health problems and kind of like how we can like take the best care of ourselves. And I was like, oh, this is actually like really useful information that's just like being like popping up on my For You page. But I'm actually like hearing an actual like dermatologist talk about like the importance of sunscreen use and like, you know, showing the whole little thing in like an entertaining, memorable way. And so it's really like infiltrated every single aspect of our lives in like a really big way. And you know, it's funny because people still kind of dismiss it. I think that's changing rapidly as we talked about earlier, but I think it still kind of has this like, oh, TikTok, but like it's huge. I would say it's like arguably the one thing that has like the most influence on us, especially as like, you know, Gen Z millennials as like a generation.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like I could not agree more with those things. And some other things to take on. Like I loved the Talk the Vote initiative. In fact, I had somebody from Talk the Vote on my podcast when that was going on.
So cool.
Yeah, and we talked about that because it's so cool that, and I think like traditional media sources like news companies are really like, they hate this because people they're like, I don't trust you guys anymore, but I trust these users that can give us real factual information or show us in the moment of what's happening. Because, you know, sometimes the news could be like, oh, look, there's a huge riot down here, and show like a little group, and then somebody in reality is like, actually I'm down here and it's like 10 people. Like, what are you talking about? And so like it's like TikTok's like debunking so many things and all these you know, misconceptions about what we actually see on media. And that's what I like as well, is I don't even need to watch anything. I just watch TikTok and see the real truth of what's happening. And like these doctors as well talking about, you know, what's the proper sunscreen. Like you wouldn't get that anywhere else. And and I think there's a place, like there's so many TikToks, um, things to fall into. So like if you're very niche specific, there's going to be a spot for you, and people call them like different talks, like doctor talk or food
Mhm.
talk, like everything like that. And you can deep dive into those and go crazy, and then your for you page starts changing, and you end up on those things. So you see that in the comment section a lot, like, oh, I'm commenting so I don't leave this particular talk.
Yeah, exactly. Like commenting to stay on food talk. Totally. I know they also like the government hired all like the whole like influencer army to get like the vaccine message out like earlier this year. I mean, it's powerful. It's crazy.
Yeah, and I think like even with social media in general, just like I'm going to use this because a documentary just came out with Britney Spears, Britney versus Spears, and I think like
Yeah.
a part of that was huge. Like her being able to get out of her conservatorship was really because a lot of fans were just stepping up to be part of it too and be
Oh
like,
yeah.
no,
Fan
free Britney. That was a big
comment.
deal.
Yeah, trending hashtag everywhere. And that's like really how I got like interested in that whole issue. I mean, I've been a big Britney fan my whole life, but like following her on Instagram, she would like post all this stuff and the comments would go crazy and then people would make like all of these like conspiracy theory TikToks about it. And then like I was like glued to it. And then like, documentaries and TV finally caught up and like we can watch it there too. But could not agree more. It's wild.
Yeah, exactly. Because like that just ties into where you said it's not just for business or just for consuming fun things, but it can change globally things around the world. Like we can actually make a change as a society using social media for good as well. So I love that aspect about it. Whereas before, like a human being or a society, you didn't your voice didn't matter that much. Now you have a voice. Like you can share and reach people from around the world to millions of people with a good message that you have, and we never really had that opportunity before, which I like because like with the music aspect of it, you can be a small creator, a small musician outside of in a small town and actually have the opportunity to reach Billboard charts. That was
Oh yeah,
never a thing before. Never an
exactly.
opportunity.
Never a thing. You don't have to move to New York or LA. You can stay in your town. You can live with your parents as long as the music's good. Like it kind of, I remember there was a tweet from like an executive at TikTok way back when who was like, every video gets, 100 views. And I don't think this is still true about the algorithm, but in early TikTok days, every video would get like shown to like 100 people and then, would go viral off of that or not just based on like comments and engagement. And it kind of is like you know, democratizes like fame and what's trending, what's popular, as opposed to like, oh, who's gonna get like a record deal or who does this like random studio executive know and I happen to be their cousin and now it just like kind of eliminates that whole like playing field.
Totally. Like exactly. And I love that though. Like I love that my kids actually have the opportunity to say if they want to be a content creator, that's not even far fetched. Like it's not even something you can look and be like, well, good luck. It's like actually you can. Like it's not
Exactly.
even
You can start
it,
today.
yeah. So like, speaking of that and going into that kind of area, because there's going to be a lot of people that they're going to use TikTok now for the first time to be a creator they never created before. They might be a brand or even just like, their personal brand. I would love to know your advice from, researching these industry things and understanding the, looking like what you've learned along the way to especially create your book. What are some advice that you could give to not only businesses, but just a person in general on creating content for the first time?
Yeah, I mean, I think my biggest advice really is the title of the book, Don't Wait, Create. There's this whole myth of overnight viral success and becoming like an overnight viral sensation, which certainly happens. It happens like every hour on TikTok. But what isn't always expressed in those is oftentimes there's just this like long tail of creating on different platforms or creating other things that like leads up to that viral success. Like an example is like Emily Mariko, obviously like one of the most followed people on TikTok now, absolutely blew up like seemingly out of nowhere. It's like, oh, this girl's making like this salmon rice thing and suddenly like, millions and millions of people are like tuning in. But she'd been making content on YouTube for like years with, modest success, had a following, but like nothing like she has now. And I think that's something that people always forget. They're like, oh, if my first couple videos flop, like this isn't even worth it. It's like, no, you just have to keep experimenting, listening to your audience, kind of pivoting, but like just committing to like that habit of creation. And it gets so much easier over time. You know, when you post a video, you don't know whether it'll get like 1 view or a million views, but and the first one's always the scariest. You're like, oh my God, I'm putting myself out there. Everyone might hate it. I might get like roasted in the comments, or, you know, there's so many things that go through your head. But like, if you get into that habit of creation, stop waiting and just like put your first thing out there, you're like on your track to putting in. It's like anything else. It's like learning how to play the violin or learning a new recipe. You have to like put in the hours and put in the reps to like figure out what works. And the best time to start is now.
Yes, like that it's so true. We overthink it a lot. And the one thing that fits well with TikTok and this concept is what I love is that TikTok made it very easy for people to create today without anything. Like YouTube, it's hard because you know, you looked at it and you see people, oh my gosh, they have this whole, like, they have a whole film crew, they have a whole editing team, they have a whole studio. That's like, it's not realistic. Whereas TikTok, literally, like, we all have a phone in our hand, you know, and you could literally just like point shoot right here. It does not have to be anything fancy. You could do it anywhere, like in your car driving. There's so many people that have gone viral just sitting in their car sharing a message. Like,
Totally.
there's nothing holding you back.
All the editing just happens like in the app, easy peasy. Like, you don't need like to know Final Cut Pro or like iMovie or anything. Like, I think it's like there's some statistic on it. I don't remember it, but it was like most TikToks are edited like in app, as opposed to like, obviously YouTube has its like own editing platform. It's like garbage. No one does that. And so, yeah, it's like, it really is as easy as just like open your phone, click on the app and make something. And that's something too, is I think like in the early days of internet culture, which I've been, you know, following for a long time, it used to be like, you know, there's this like 1% of like internet creators and everyone else is kind of a consumer. And I think platforms like YouTube are still kind of like that. You know, it's like most people are consuming this like these top creators. But on TikTok, I think like a huge portion of TikTok users have actually posted at least one video. Like, there's not that many, or not as many relative like lurkers as there are on these other platforms. So it really does like just like cultivate this, you know, you could do it too. You can make something.
That is true. I think it's the number one, I think, platform for actually people making their own content. And it might have been just one video or whatnot, but people are like, it's easier when you go through the For You page and you realize, whoa, like, they're sitting at their desk right now too. Like, what's holding me back? Nothing. I can do this too. Or like, because what I love is like on the For You page, the viral videos you see, they arrange from, some of them could be a little bit higher polished. Some of them could be like somebody sitting in a car. So it fits, like any video you see can fit within your own life, and realize that, man, I could do this too. Like, there's no secret sauce there. You just got to show up. Like you said, just create today. Like, that's it. And an advice I give, and I've said this many times on other episodes, but I love to remind people, is if there's a creator you really enjoy and you really like, and you're just like, you feel overwhelmed because you want to be like them, but you're not there yet, what you need to do is either find if they've created content on other platforms, or on their TikTok, if they've made lots of videos, scroll to the very bottom and see where they started, because you will see a massive change. They're not going to be like this perfect, like this creator you really enjoy. They're so funny. They probably did not look like that in the beginning. They probably look very cringy. Most creators I talk to say, oh my God, please don't scroll to the bottom. It's so cringy. But it gives you like the reality that it's like a muscle. Like, the more you do it, the better you get. And the more you understand your audience. And so therefore you can talk to them a lot better, but you have to create to learn how to do that and adapt. Kind of like my podcast. If you go back and listen to my first episode, it's horrible. Like, I'm like, please don't listen to this episode. Please don't listen to my first like 20 episodes. Because each time I release, if people have been listening to my show for a long time, they probably realize, dang, these are just getting better and better and better. It's because we're learning. Like, you learn as you go. So
yeah, definitely. And I love that advice. Like, find your favorite creator and watch their like first whatever it is. I know I was talking to a Marky, and he does like Smile Squad on YouTube. He's been like creating for ages, and he was like, your first 50 videos are gonna suck, and you just have to like accept that as part of the process. And that's like a lot of really bad videos, but eventually, you know, it'll fall into place, and you just have to like, that's like all the more reasons to like start today, is then you'll kind of like get past the like valley of suck faster and start making the stuff that you're actually like proud of and excited about. But it's like, I really think content creation is unique in that it's something that you really just have to do to learn. Obviously everyone should go out and buy my book, Don't Wait, Create, and like that'll inspire you to start doing it. But it's something you really can't learn how to do just from a book or a manual, or like not really putting yourself out there. You really just have to start, and that's the best way to learn, because there's so many. I mean, every creator is so different, and it's really just like part of you, and nobody really knows how to do that except for yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And I think like, people who are looking to do this are probably thinking, oh my gosh, I know me, I like to have resources and tools at hand though for like kicking this off. Cause like, even though, yes, me and you were saying it's easy as picking up your phone and doing this. Sometimes people do like to have like an extra guide, or how can I jumpstart ahead with some people's expertise. So I think your book is a really great resource for, Don't Wait, Create, and learning some of the tools that you've learned along the way that can kind of kickstart somebody and put them a little bit more ahead than just going in to learn these lessons. And then as you learn those things and you come to the like the platform and learn especially some of the things, that the tips and advice from your book, then you're going to start building an audience, because like I believe 100%, like I believe everything in my whole heart that any person, no matter if you're boring, if you feel like your life sucks, you don't have anything to give, we all have value to give. And there's an audience for every one of us.
There really is. I mean, I live a pretty boring, simple life. Like, I've built my Instagram following out. Literally talk like some of like my like hallmark things is like I talk about like the soups that I make, and I go on like a walk every day. I cannot think of two more like conventionally boring things than like soups and walking. And like I have like, people DM me every week being like, what soup are we making this week? Or like, have you gone on your walk yet? Or like, and it's like, if I can make content around that, you can make content about anything. But it is so much like easier said than done, because, especially if you're coming from like a traditional performing arts background, or you're like an actor or something and you want to like make comedy sketches, for example, you're used to being like feeling like chosen for something, whether it's like a job or a role, is like so nice. It's like, oh, this person's like giving me permission to create, and this person like likes my stuff, and they kind of have that like safety net and like confidence that comes from that. And when making your own stuff online, you don't have that at all. You have to find that like approval within yourself, which is so hard. It's like it could be an absolute disaster. You don't know that. And you have to kind of find that like approval to be like, you know what, I think this is good. No one else has really said anything about it. No one else has like seen this before. And I'm going to for the world to see. That's so scary. But like, that's something I talk about a lot in my book too, is like ways to like cultivate that creator's mindset, so that one, you have like more ideas that you're excited about and proud of, and also like getting over that like post anxiety is what I like to call it.
I love that. Yeah, no, for sure. And you kind of, you just have to find the confidence in yourself. But the cool thing is that TikTok does move pretty fast. So you're not just going to sit there after like 50 videos and hoping you get one person. Honestly, if you create 50 videos, you're going to have a small audience start. Like, no questions. Like, I'm not even, if it's decent, or you stick to something and you're consistent with it, you're going to get people that follow and are interested in and going to start reaching out to you. Even if it's a small start, that's fine. So, the important thing is listening to your audience as it's growing. And a lot of people, I think, get overwhelmed by that, because they're like, oh my gosh, I now have people following me. Now what? So what is like some tips that you can give to, listening to your audience?
Yeah, I think just really like, I mean, obviously tracking engagement, like what posts and videos are doing better than others, and trying to figure out like, are there patterns there? Is there something I can like deduce from that? Really like reading the comments and the DMs. Like, I always go through my message requests like once a day, and obviously you can't respond to everything, but it's like good to know just like what are people saying and actually like engaging with it. It's not a one-way street, which is why like social media is so fun, is like the social aspect of it. We're not just individual like broadcast stations like living in a vacuum spewing things out. And I think a lot of people maybe like think about it that way, but if you're really utilizing these tools to their maximum ability, you're doing that two-way street. You know, you're going live and talking to people, you're responding to DMs, you're responding to comments, you're like seeing, you know, where are people gravitating towards like in my page, and how can I like create more of that. And that's something too I feel like we lose sight of just with all of these people in the public eye who have like millions and millions of followers, is just like how valuable each and every one of those followers are. You know, if we, let's say like a typical 24-year-old has like 2,000 Instagram followers or 1,000 Instagram followers of just like friends, family, and like random people, it doesn't seem like much. You definitely probably don't call yourself like a content creator, but like you really should, because if you think about being in like an auditorium and having all like 1,000 of those people, which is not considered a big following at all, like sitting there listening to what you have to say, like you would be a bit nervous. You would be like, this is a big audience. I should probably like prepare for this. I should probably think about like, what would they like me to say? What would I like to say? What do I want them to know about me? And it's like, crazy, you know, that we have even like a following of 500 people. That's a pack, that's a full house, you know, that's more people than, you know, fit in like a restaurant. And it's wild to think about that. And so I think it could be overwhelming to be like, oh, this post only got, you know, 500 views. Okay, 500 people watched this. That's like an entire, you know, class at a high school. And like I think we just get so desensitized to these like astronomically high numbers. Like I know I was talking to Kat Stickler, who's a big TikTok creator, and she has I think 8 million followers on TikTok, and she was like, I can't, it's like hard for me to like wrap my head around the fact that like there's more people who follow me than like live in my state, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I even made a post not long ago. I might even reshare it just because like I might just reshare it all the time just to remind people, because I did what does 20 views look like with people, and then like I showed it like progressively getting bigger, because we do get desensitized, especially like a content creator who's starting to get good views. um they almost like when a video kind of flops and they're at like only 100,000 views, they're like, oh, they're really down. And I have to try to remind some of these creators, look, like that's a lot, that's a whole stadium of people. And then I show them like, here's a picture of 100,000 people, and then they're like, wait, hold on, okay, you know what, you're right. And
Yeah.
there's actually a viral, it's like a trending sound right now talking about somebody saying, hey, you know, 30,000 views, but if 30,000 people, they'll say like, you know, what is 30,000 views? But if 30,000 people walked in your house right now, you'd be really overwhelmed. And it's so true. Even, you know, like, but on TikTok, like generally a normal video, I think I see it still with like 100 view kind of minimum. They're kicking it out to people. I still see that for new people or people putting videos out. So think of just that in general. If you were to talk at, you're going to show up at a local high school gym and show up and share a message, and you had 100 people walk in the door, that would be a huge success.
Totally. And so I'll send me that post for sure, because that's something that I like totally get behind and believe. I'm like, it's even like 2 people. It's like that's an audience, and like shouldn't be taken lightly.
No, exactly. And I think like they're calling them now micro influencers, who are just those creators who have a decent following from just their friends and family, because like 1,000 people, and those 1,000 people are really more tight, like, you know, they're closer to you than somebody who might have 100,000 who they're just like fans of your content, but they might not know you that well or trust you. Whereas like that 1,000 group people are so influenced by you when you're just like, hey guys, like I went down to the local restaurant, oh my god, they're like, their pasta was the best I've ever had. Now people are like living close in your town, they're like, where, send me the link, or I'm going, or like tell me more. And then you have like 10 people show up. That's a big, like that's huge.
Totally. And I think that like trust is so important. I'm like, my mom has like 100 Facebook friends, but if she like posts, and she like doesn't really post anything on Facebook, at least like on her like public page, but if she said like, I love XYZ product, like I bet those people are like, oh my gosh, she's like making a post about this must be a big deal. And like probably like people would go out and buy it. And so again, shouldn't be taken lightly. All influence is like big influence.
Exactly. And it's not a new concept either. I mean, think of even back before social media, people would always have like on business cards or saying like your referral mean like your referring a friend is the biggest gift you can give to me. And it's kind of that same concept is like when you're telling somebody that something you believe in and they trust you, that's more powerful than just an ad. So like that whole concept is still, it's not new, but now it's being able to reach more in different ways, which is really cool. Erica, I'd love to talk a little bit more about like your book, how people can, where can they get it? How can, like, give us a little insight there, where they can get it, and maybe a couple more things that they can learn from it.
Yeah, so book is available everywhere books are sold. You can get it at your local bookstore, Amazon, Barnes and Noble. I feel like Amazon is where most people go. It's available in paperback and Kindle edition. And it goes through everything. We talk about at the beginning, just like, how did we get here? 20 years ago, we didn't have these platforms that now are, such a central part of our lives. I don't want to look at my screen time right now, but like a significant portion of my week is spent on these websites that like did not exist in like semi-recent history. And so it just kind of goes through, how did we get here? And then like, how do you find your place into it? And I, interviewed so many different creators about their journey, their advice, what they wish they did differently, what they wish they knew when they started, their, trials and tribulations, so that you can kind of like learn from those and apply it to your own journey to hopefully make that a little bit smoother. We talk a lot about the creator mindset, how to cultivate that, how to put together your posting schedule, how to find your niche, and like all of the little toolkits that you need to be successful online, because I really do believe that there is a place for everyone out there. And I think that the more perspectives and stories and content that gets put out there, like, it's there's something we can all learn from each other. And I'm excited for that to happen.
That's so cool. Like it does sound to me like the perfect guide on learning how to be a content creator, especially if you have no idea where to start. Like it sounds like it is the ultimate guide to pick up, so you can be a couple steps ahead versus just starting from nothing. So there's a lot of people out there that really look for that. They look for that, like, where can I learn these things so I could learn from others who have made these mistakes, so I can be a little bit more ahead in the game. And so it sounds like the perfect guide. And I'm 100% telling everybody, we all have access to Amazon. If you're a Kindle reader and want to read it on the go, that's a great option too. Or if you love going down to your local Barnes and Noble, you can go down there and physically pick it up. So that's really cool. And what I'll do as well is, if you're listening to it at this point right now, quickly click the description notes, and there'll be a link straight to the Amazon link to be able to go buy that right now. So go to the description notes right now, click that link, and there you go, and purchase that. And Erica, like, people will be very interested in your book, but also people really love to engage with people on their social media. So talk to me about how people can find you and where you're creating content.
Yeah, I'm creating content on both Instagram and TikTok. Best way to reach me is, just shoot me a message on Instagram. As I mentioned earlier, I check my DMs every day and try to respond to as many as possible. And so if there's something you read in the book, or you have a question about creation, or, anything at all, definitely give me a message, and I would love to chat with you. I think that's like something that I love about social media, and something that I was like hesitant to do like in the form of a book. That's such like a one-way form of communication. And so that's really my hope with my book, is that it'll encourage people to like start those two-way conversations with me and just kind of get that conversation started. And so please reach out. I'm on both platforms at Airyberry with an A.
Awesome. That's awesome. And, for all of you that are listening as well, I did make it very easy. Again, in the description notes, you'll be able to find the links to Erica's socials. So you could go connect with her over there and be able to follow her and see what she's doing, because she's providing a lot of really great value outside of her book, but you'll be able to see in real time and what she's up to. So I think it's fun. And you can join her on learning more about her walks and her soups for the week as well. Erica, like, I appreciate your time so much, and this was really valuable. And there's a lot of great reminders in here for people to, remind themselves that every view is a real person, to think of it like that. And two, if you're brand new and you're overwhelmed, it's okay. Just just create today. Like, don't wait, create.
Yes.
And Erica's here for you with her book for the tips and tools you need to be able to get started. But while you're waiting for the book, make your first video. I encourage you today. Do
Today,
it.
don't wait, create. No reason to wait.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Erica, for your time. It's been a pleasure.
Oh, thanks for having me. This was so fun.